Okay, so this is going to be the second time that I'm trying to do this video because originally it uploaded as a .flv file because I haven't quite gotten this this programming. This programming software working quite right yet. Also, my CPU is just being it's being weird. But so anyhow, I'm finally back because, you know, school, life, work, all get in the way, but I actually had some time tonight. And I was able to finally do this review of this movie. And I've wanted to do this movie review for a long time. Ever since I saw the movie, actually. Yeah, that day, I was like to my friend, I was like, dude, we gotta review this. Alright, yeah, things are good there. And so, anyhow, what movie am I talking about, you might ask? The movie I'm talking about is It Follows. Now, for a background, a little bit of a background on It Follows. It was the first film of a couple of independent filmmakers, and it was released in 2014 to intense critical acclaim, and I should really find somewhere else to put this. There we go. And it was released to intense critical acclaim and commercial success. So much so that I think there's a sequel, or at least a studio greenlit a sequel, but the writers might not have wanted to make a sequel, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes writers can recognize that they just don't want a sequel. Which is incredibly rare, especially in horror movies. I think the only genre that's more rare in is action movies. Let's see, how many unnecessary sequels do we have? Oh, right. Right. Just so many unnecessary sequels. But when it comes to this movie, we are not getting a sequel, which to me is very fortunate. Because I hated this movie. I hated it with every fiber of my being. I hate it with a passion normally reserved for racist assholes. Racist and sexist and homophobic assholes. Because this movie, it's not even in so bad it's good territory. It's just in bad territory. It's like, when I saw this movie, I waited for an hour and a half of the 2-hour runtime for it to finally get better. It never got better. Oh yeah, you know, the cinematography was nice. Congratulations. You have one person on the job that actually knew what he was doing. And yes, I know it's sexist for me to assume that it's a dude, but I don't care. Because this movie is just awful. Well, everything from the directing to the acting to the dialogue to even the special effects, which I know that this is an independent film, but come on, is just awful. So let's start actually talking about the film. What's it about? Well, it follows a teenage girl, as most horror films want to do, especially when they're trying to imitate John Carpenter's Halloween and just completely sucks and is awful at it. Yeah. This is gonna go real well. And my big problem with the movie is the fact that it's actually a cool concept. A shape-shifting demon, only you can see it, so everyone else thinks that you're completely batshit insane, and it can take the form of anyone. However, this is where shit gets fucked up. This is where it turns into a bad movie. Because I don't really care whether or not the film itself has a cool concept, so long as it's a good film. And this one has a cool concept. But the filming is terrible. First of all, let's address the elephant in the room here. The monster. Now, the monster is basically some sort of demonic entity that stalks its victims until either it catches up to them and kills them, or they sleep with another person, at which point it will pursue that person instead. Here's what I'm wondering. First of all, why does the demon have to be transmitted sexually? It's not that I have a problem with adding a little bit of TNA to the movie, because, hello, I'm a teenage boy. Okay, and I'm straight. So I'm probably one of the people that on the last in a line of people that might have a problem with that. However, saying that the demon saying that you can only pass the curse on sexually, it adds a level of cheapness to the film that this film isn't silly or schlocktastic enough to take. You know, it tries to be a dark, gritty, serious, and realistic film. Well, as realistic as being followed by a quote unstoppable demon is. However, I know I say however a lot, and trying to work on that, but the film itself is just awful. And like I was saying, it follows a teenage girl, and that's not how it starts. It starts with a body on a beach, completely nude, and one obviously dead, and one leg is snapped in half at the knee. It's like something just ripped from the knee down and just stacked it on top of the person, of the dead girl. And I'm just like, oh shit. So it's gonna be this kind of film. Because I had heard that it was a very suspense-heavy film. However, and this is a good note for everyone, if they want to pursue filmmaking, this is a good tip for them. Balance is the key to a good suspense film. You want to be able to identify with the characters and also to use the... Okay, I don't really want to say use. What I want to say is that you want to be able to identify with the characters and also... I know it's bad to say want to see them die, but you really do have to want to see some of them die in a horror movie. And you get that. It's just that, you know, they aren't likable in the slightest and they don't die until halfway through the movie. You know? And also, this is another bad thing about the movie, is that it's like it's completely unsure what year it's in. It's like, you know, we have cell phones that look like seashells, but you're watching a 1950s horror movie on an old antenna TV. Be consistent with your technology and time period. One thing that did this great was Stranger Things. And I know this is probably going to detract into me also reviewing Stranger Things in the same video. But that show is just so damn good. If you haven't seen it now, go watch it. Stop watching this. Go watch Stranger Things. Is it weird? Yes. Is it full of 80s? Yes. Is it basically a darker version of is it basically the Goonies mixed with... Okay, I want to say it's the Goonies mixed with an old Stephen King movie. Boom! Except the Stephen King part is actually good. Because, no offense, Steve, your movies, except for The Shining and Misery, were pretty bad. And that's not even getting into the really silly ones. Like, you know, The Langoliers. Where you had giant flying meatballs. What? But anyhow, it follows, you know, this girl. We didn't really know what her name is. I didn't even remember her name as I was watching the film. That's how forgettable this movie is. And one part of it is that the film takes very long for anything to happen. And when the monster first shows up, it is barely climactic at best. And also, not to mention the fact that how they defeat the monster is really, really stupid and contrived and just out of nowhere. You know, because it's built up as this big, impossible to defeat demon. And Merlin, will you stop moving my camera, my laptop around? Hi guys, this is Merlin. Yes, he's cute. And he just purrs really loudly. It's pretty great. However, I know, again with the howevers, The movie, in addition with not being consistent with its technology, also has some of the worst acting I have ever seen. And it follows this girl and a group of friends, and they are all just morons. And I know it's typical in horror movies for, the teens to have no idea what's going on, no idea how to deal with it. But that does not mean that your characters have to be morons when it comes to dealing with this kind of stuff. Have them, have watched horror movies in the past and have at least one of them be like, I don't know, a geek or something. Also, have them do some, and this is one thing that came to me a lot, is that this is a bare bones suspense movie that is just so by the numbers you can practically name the scene that's going to come up next. You're like, oh, are we going to... Just be like, oh, are we going to have the people die in a scene? Yep, that was there. Did we have the monster storms in scene? Yep, that was there. Did we have, and it just goes on and on with stuff like that, and it doesn't even work. But I am trying to keep this review under 20 minutes, so here's my final part. The movie is just bad. It's a by the numbers suspense film where you basically are just waiting for the people to die. And that's another thing, is that for a horror movie, this has a surprisingly low body count. I see two people die. No, wait, one's already dead, and we see one person die because the monster humped it to death or something. I said it was stupid. I would give it half a star out of 10. It is that bad, folks. It's not even like the kind of bad where there's something enjoyable in there. It's not even that kind of bad. It's just a bad movie. So there I am, and hopefully I will be able to upload a few more reviews because I'd kind of like to get back into this. Arrivederci.